X-Play has, let's say, a troubled history with World War II, just like Germany. We get it. It's a great setting for a game. But the problem is, at this point, we've reviewed enough games set between 1939 and 1945 to wrap our entire building in their game manuals, Jean-Claude and Christo style. That's why I was less than thrilled to review Operation Darkness for our Made in Japan segment. It's your typical uninspired tactical turn-based battle between the Axis and the Allies. Boring. Hey, there's the ever-present Panzer tank. Oh look, there's the plucky British regiment. Gosh, there's the same old Nazi brigade rising from the dead as unstoppable zombies. Wait, what? Yes, it seems like the real reason the Nazis were so evil wasn't all that European land-grabbing xenophobia, but their ability to harness the powers of hell itself to forge a relentless army of the undead. Finally, here's a World War II game I can get behind. It seems to be pretty much the usual story. Stuck behind enemy lines, your team of expert British troops has to fight off wave after wave of Germans, only this time, they don't stay dead. You know, I thought about making a portmanteau of Nazis and zombies, but the only thing I could come up with was not-zombies, which sounds like not zombies, but they're clearly zombies. And would you like to know the craziest, kookiest, most outrageous thing about Operation Darkness? It's a Japanese game made exclusively for the Xbox 360. I thought the only people in Japan that had 360s were American expats and electronics store owners who couldn't foist the consoles in the general Japanese public. Think of the amazing voice acting possibilities here. If there's anything funnier than zombies clamoring for brains, it's zombies clamoring for brains in German accents. Ah, there we go. Zombie Nazis. A concept so crazy, it could only have been made in Japan. If you played the game Yakuza when it came out here in the States, you probably weren't clamoring for a sequel. You know who was? People in Japan. 2 games later, we have this, GOGOGO Kenzan, otherwise known as Yakuza 3. But rather than once again setting the game in the seedy world of the Japanese mafia, designers took a leap, some would say over a shark, and set it in the seedy world of feudal Japan. Sound cool? Consider this. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie franchise made the exact same move for their 3rd installment. Cowabunga. Hey, don't get me wrong. There's still a lot of the same stuff here you'd find in a game about the mafia. There's, a fat guy. And, stuff happening in the rain.
Oh, boy.
This. Forget about it. What could possibly tie all this together? How about a Japanese hip-hop intro? Historically appropriate. Honestly, this game could have any title. Samurai Warriors, Dynasty Warriors, whatever. But no, it got stamped as a game about the Japanese mafia, so it's Yakuza 3. And much like the katana that fills its cutscenes, it was made in Japan.
For ones who actually can judge a game by its cover, Love Upper is essentially Foxy Boxing for the Japanese video game market. In this Mamory Mardi Gras, you get to choose from a gaggle of 3-dimensional renders who must lightly punch one another into submission. After each match, the winner pipes up and speaks. You can only assume she expressed displeasure about her representation as an offensive sex object. We hope. Oh look, this one is wearing cat ears. That's adorable. Yes, the cast of Love Upper is so skanky, they make Tila Tequila seem demure. But in all fairness, we can't recommend importing this game. Now, I know you see this sexy lady in a leopard bikini and think to yourself, that's something I want. Oh look, she's presenting. Anyway, please let me try and talk you out of purchasing this one. You see, the actual gameplay is terrible. 3D boxing games like this require precision controls in order to maneuver your brawler, but there's nothing precise about the robotic movements here. And the graphics aren't anything to write home about when compared to the Dead or Alive franchise. Frankly, these character models aren't that unique, even when they slap a sexy nurse outfit on them. Its ugliness is even more apparent when you look at the 3-frame animation crowd. Why does this guy keep shifting around in his chair like that? Look, if you really need to masturbate to a video game, make it Animal Crossing. At least that way your parents won't be mad when they walk in on you. They'll be confused. And maybe supportive. At least that was my experience when it happened to me last week. There's a lot of great things about Japan, and this is definitely not one of them. Stay away. You've been warned. Love Upper is so odd, so sexist, and so plain old aberrant, it must have been made in Japan. Japan. It's always raining in Japan. There's always girls in schoolgirl outfits fighting people in Japan. There's always girls fighting bears in Japan. What? Let's get back to that one. In this segment of Made in Japan, we're going to take a long, sordid, sleazy look at Fighting Beauty Wulong, a Japanese fighting game based on a manga series very popular in Japan. In this story, our young warrior is trained in the art of martial arts by her grandfather of disreputable character. Although, what's so disreputable about this? Reminds me of that very special episode of Different Strokes. Why does grandfather want his granddaughter to get beat up? I don't know. I'm not up on my Japanese customs. At any rate, grandfather secretly enters her in a martial arts competition. But this competition is different from others. Ladies only. Young, nubile young ladies. Just the way grandfather likes it. Along the way, she has to learn her craft. And that takes practice. In skimpy outfits, of course. Just the way grandfather likes it. Yummy! Say, is that Bobby from King of the Hill? That boy ain't right. Of course, when there are no young ladies around to pummel, if you know what I mean, Fighting Beauty Wulong has the next best thing. Bears. Big, smelly, disgusting bears. But enough about John Goodman. Sure, bear fights are something you can see stateside, but somehow it seems slimier in a Japanese game. Just the way grandfather likes it. Fighting Beauty Wulong is a game about fights, a game about unrequited love, and a game about family values. And it could be only made in Japan.
Straight out of the rough and gritty streets of Japan comes a fighting game so rough and gritty it could only come from the streets of Japan. This one's called Simple 2000 Series Volume 114, the Jokuukichi Torimonochō Oni-chan GOGOGO. You know what? Let's just call it Japanese fighting game. This recent game in an ongoing series sort of looks like a run-of-the-mill fighting game. And we've seen that on our shores before, so what makes it Japanese? Oh, I see. That makes it Japanese. You play as Detective Oharu, a 19-year-old female redhead, very commonplace on the streets of Japan. All you do here is run around fighting the same thugs over and over. What an odd bunch of thugs they are. Please, Hammer, don't hurt her. Detective Oharu has a special weapon to use. You might call it a magic lasso. Think of Wonder Woman, but without all the blatant jingoism and despair. Our heroine can travel all over the place, from the streets of Japan to the sewers of Japan. That water smells like Godzilla and Pachinko. Whee! I'm wasting time. Stop. Hammer time. Simple 2000 Series Volume 114, the Jokuukichi Torimonochō Oni-chan GOGOGO is silly. It's goofy, it's fun, and it could only be made in Japan.
D3 Simple series is no stranger to our Made in Japan segment. And now it's time to share with you the goodness that is the All-Star Fighting Festival. This Street Fighter knockoff is a collection of the most popular characters from other Simple series games. And by popular, we mean the biggest boobs and most Japanesingly bizarre. It's called the Simple series because the games are made cheap and sell for cheap, so they don't waste money on things like logic or restraint. Let's see what we've got riding the crazy bullet train this time. 2 schoolgirls flashing their underpants with each kick. Seen it. 2 girls in bikinis duking it out. I see your exploitation and raise you blatant misogynistic violence. We've got Bam Bam Bigelow and Jack Skellington's illegitimate child. Wait, is that John Travolta? And who was she supposed to be? I'm going with the G-String Rodeo Ninja. Holy spicy tuna hand roll. What on earth is that? There's 2 of them. And they both have the same choreographer. Someone killed them before they get near any children. Okay. Well, you can see that once again, the Simple series manages to deliver the scantily clad crazy. A special brand of crazy that could only come from video games that were made in Japan.
Today's journey into the wonderful world of Japanese video games takes us to Simple 2000 Series Volume 113, The Mass Hell. Let's meet Erica, a young schoolgirl, that's original Japan, who appears to have just a wee bit of an infestation problem. Just a bit. The Mass Hell follows the typical run-of-the-mill storyline in which a young girl chases a rabbit into a world of cockroaches, worms, and rats. I don't understand why that's so weird. The X-Play offices are way filthier. Our offices smell of cabbage soup, cottage cheese, and interns. But it's not all bugs in the Mass Hell. There are, other things. These creatures are creepy, kooky, mysterious, and spooky. Erica's travels, of course, take her all over the place. From the forests of Japan, to the back alleys of Japan, to the sewers of Japan. It's a good thing Erica has, I guess they're weapons, to make this game just a touch less queasy. Oh, she got all of that one. Oh, she's got to be pleased with that. Poor Erica. Just to get back to her own reality, she'll have to ninja warrior herself through a gauntlet of groovy ghoulies. Now, we could tell you about all the bugs, but why not show you in a montage? The sound of squishing frogs never gets old. It's just so soothing. Say, is that Mothra? I always wondered where she went. Actually, no, I didn't. In Japan, playing as a girl constantly getting swarmed by all sorts of vermin is entertainment. So if you're ever in Japan and you like video games and rapid rats, this game might just be what the exterminator ordered, whatever that means. The Mass Hell is bizarre, it's gross, it's disturbing, and it could only be made in Japan.
Land of intrigue, a world made strong through pained insight into the spirit self. A land of pleasing hand elocution. Eloquent Fist, another title devised from within the superheated gaming forge of the Japanese sexual imagination. The power of puberty compels you. The story of Eloquent Fist involves the restive student body of Nanyo Academy. Instead of proms or cherry blossom festivals, they entertain powers given them by past life spirits. And I'm going to stop now. It's your garden variety, side-scrolling, item-grabbing, vending, abusing, kick, punch, and run type of PSP offering. Choose students from different academies, jam them into the gauntlet of Mortal Kombat, and watch as they navigate through madness-generating levels like Pleasant City, Roller Coaster, Gym, and the ever-odious Very Messy Place. Your debutantes of Doom bring a colorful bounty of special moves to the opposing side, and vice versa. The shame he seems to not like these girls.
どこまで成長したか見せてもらおうか。
The Eloquent fist. Once hit by it, verbs and consonants will drop out of your mouth like bits of broken teeth.
俺は
You might need them to wonder why it's made in Japan.
俺はやっちまえ。
There's nothing like the great outdoors, the fresh air, the bright sun, the wildlife leaping across the veldt. Afrika, a photojournalistic game set appropriately enough in Africa, manages to recreate none of the thrills of visiting that continent. Leave the elephant guns at home, kids. This ain't your Papa Hemingway's Africa. It's weird, though. I thought the Japanese were known for three things: Pocky, ninja-based game shows, and hyper-violent entertainment. The Japanese seem to have no problem brutally poaching whales, but I guess land mammals are off limits when it comes to shooting and killing. Pity, because I could really go for some giraffe soup right about now. How could we choose a game for Made in Japan that hardly seems Japanese at all? As you sit hunched in some bushes near a watering hole, the game becomes a waiting and watching sim. The hours pass in blissful solitude. A bird twitters in the brush. Distant clouds roll across the sky. Come to think of it, this is the very essence of Japan. Quiet repose, thoughtful introspection, Zen meditation, and all that crap. You really have time to clear your mind and ponder the mysteries of life. Sure could go for a ham sandwich right about now, with cheese. Fine, Afrika, I'll begrudgingly admit it. You've convinced me that you were truly made in Japan.
The Japanese have always had an affinity with photography. With that in mind, allow XPlay to present you with a mildly odd Made in Japan that focuses on the rising sun's love of lens. It will make you shudder. In camera Kozo, you are a master lensman, a Matisse. You are also an obscenely voiced creeper that nervously chortles like valves struggling to open within a deeply fried heart. Your job is to correctly frame your models and guide them to physical heights of statuesque perfection. Gee, I wonder what they want you to concentrate on here. As with so many games created in Japan, the old sweater puppies seem a little anxious to see you. There's not much else to do in the game but try and avoid your shadow and earn smiley faces and bits of camera equipment. Unless you count the intrusion of annoying mini-games, Camera Kozo, yet another peculiar product stamped Made in Japan.